friends. This is the program Empire of Lies, where we discuss manipulation and disinformation in Russian media, how Russian television portrays an impending war, an analysis of reports on NATO, Europe, and the Russian threat recently. Russian state television channels have been projecting a particularly alarming picture of the world military rhetoric, talk of an inevitable clash with NATO, and constant mentions of new Russian weapons. All of this has been transformed into a systemic narrative that tells viewers one thing: war is becoming the norm, and Europe is supposedly in a state of panic and strategic collapse. Olga Skabeeva is a prime example. The goal isn't simply to intimidate Western viewers, it's primarily to engage domestic audiences, telling them that the West fears Russia, which means Russia must fight to the bitter end. 1. The foundation of fear, unparalleled, weapons as a media construct. The story begins with the assertion that NATO is supposedly afraid of Russia's latest weapons, the burevestnik, the hypersonic rhetoric, as the Zircon is mistakenly called on air, and the Poseidon underwater drone. The narrative is structured according to the following pattern. 1. The West admits it cannot defend itself. 2. Russia has absolute military superiority. 3. Therefore, any actions by Russia are justified and inevitable. Russian viewers are encouraged to see the country as a superpower, possessing weapons that even the world's most powerful military bloc is powerless against. It's important for European readers to understand these claims are regularly promoted in the media, but are not supported by any real, verifiable information. This is how an information myth is created. Russia is technologically superior to the West and therefore can dictate the rules. 2. Europe in the mirror of Russian propaganda. Weakness, panic, defeat. The next section is a dramatized description of how NATO supposedly considers a Russian attack a matter of years. The German defense minister did indeed speak of the need to strengthen defenses, but Russian television turns this into statements about the last peaceful summer and an almost inevitable invasion. This is followed by a standard media ploy. Fragments of Western press reports are taken out of context and amplified to apocalyptic conclusions. Poland is hysterical over a train accident. Great Britain acknowledged the shockingly low combat effectiveness of its army. The Air Force is incapable of defending the country. The submarine fleet is out of action. The drone attack over Scandinavia is Russia's doing. The result is an image of Europe's utter helplessness, supposedly doomed in the face of Russian might, while simultaneously panicking and preparing for war. This isn't descriptive journalism, but a method of political indoctrination. Russian propaganda uses European disorganization to emphasize Russia is the only force with power. The West is a club of confused and weak states. Russia's victory is a matter of time. According to NATO estimates, the burevestnik nuclear-powered cruise missile, as Putin stated, does indeed have an unlimited range, allowing it to bypass all Western air defense systems and approach targets through blind spots, such as the Arctic. NATO is alarmed by the Oreshnik missile, which reaches hypersonic speeds, is launched from a mobile launcher, and can strike anywhere in Europe. But the most alarming aspect for NATO analysts is the Poseidon super torpedo, which could be used to destroy coastal cities in the United States, Britain, and France. German Defense Minister Pistorius stated in this regard that Russia, and this is an official statement from the German Defense Minister, could attack NATO even before 2029. Previously, military experts, including those from Germany, had cited this very date, 2029, as a key date. But now Putin is attacking them earlier. Now, most expect war in 2028. 3. Shifting fear inward. We are on the brink of a major war. A separate goal of the propaganda narrative is to convince Russian society that the West is preparing for war against Russia, and not vice versa. This logic is polished and consistent. Russia is not the aggressor, but the defendant. NATO is increasing its arms, which means it is preparing an attack. European budgets are growing, which means it is militarization aimed at Russia. Thus, the logic of global politics is inverted. Russian actions in Ukraine are not the beginning of a conflict, but a forced response to Western plans for media mobilization, prepare the population for a long confrontation. The story ends with a warning. Russia has mobilized, factories are operating, Putin is ready to take greater risks, and the threat is growing. This isn't hysteria, it's preparation for a long confrontation. The need to increase the military budget, restrictions on civil liberties, deepening militarization of the economy, increasing isolation. Europe is heading for war. Russia is better prepared for it. Therefore, it must go to the end. The European reader, however, sees something different, an information strategy for the gradual transformation of war into a new norm for the Russian state. Think, analyze, draw conclusions, and don't be fooled. This was the program Empire of Lies.